Alright, this is going to be just a quick basic mechanics overview and things that you can work on. Each character has different styles of aim. There's projectiles, which are like these that have travel time. There's this, which is a hit scan beam, which requires you to maintain your accuracy on the target in order to do your damage. And there's also hit scan, which is someone like Punisher, or Psylocke's Primary, or Widow, or Hela, or Phoenix. Those happen instantly if your crosshair is on your target. I see that you play a lot of Iron Man, so I'm going to give you just a couple quick drills that you can do to work on your aim. I can't speak on any of your controller settings, although you might be able to find a post or some recommendations on how to do that. First, we're going to just try, we'll use these settings. You can pause it here if you want. And this is because Wolverine's a good target. We don't want him moving right now for this one. And we'll leave the timer on just for practice sake. So we'll hit start on here.
4,
and we'll come
3, 2,
right about here.
1.
That's good. I know you you had the range of the laser. It's much longer than a lot of people think it is, which is good that you knew that. So what we're going to do, this is just going to be a tracking exercise, right? And tracking is just keeping your reticle on the target, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to find our target and we're just going to strafe left to right. And our only goal here is to keep our, and you'll excuse my shaky aim, I'm wearing a wrist brace right now. Our only goal here is to just keep the crosshair on the target as well as we can. And we just want to keep practicing that, because for a tracking hero, this is going to be one of your most important skills, is to keep it on the target for as long as possible. And what this is practicing is it's like controlling your movement. So when I go one direction, I aim the opposite. When I strafe the other direction, I aim the opposite. And this is us not moving up our aim if we have to move. Okay? Then, because this is a 2D plane, our screen, we need to be able to, the aim is, it takes significantly less effort to do like a 360 here than it does to do a 360 here. It's a different amount of distance that you need to cover. So
5, 4,
we should also, as Iron Man,
3,
try that from, don't go
2,
straight above. That's too much for right now. Let's just keep it real simple, just a little bit above, right? And try to practice the same thing, just strafing back and forth and keeping it on target. Wolverine is a great target for this to start out with, just because he's large enough and he has enough hit points, but he's not obscenely large like a lot of the tanks, right? Now, after that, we're going to keep it at a fixed distance, but we're going to set this to static, and we're going to just leave these on default. We are also only using one, so that we can just focus on what we're doing. We don't need a bunch of bots in here distracting us, because what we're doing is we're practicing our tracking aim. Iron Man's laser does probably the majority of his damage. It's very high DPS. And all we're going to do here is we're just going to try to keep our crosshair on the target as much as we can. And just practicing this. If you come into the practice range and you do these drills that I'm trying to show you here for just like a minute each every day, no more than like 2 or 3 minutes each, because you'll get diminishing returns. You're going to notice a drastic increase in your ability to pilot your characters and get your eliminations. And again, do the same from up here, because it's going to be slightly different. Then we'll do the same thing, but with our projectiles. So since they're projectiles, they have a travel time. The further away the target is, the less likely we're going to hit them, and the more it turns into spam damage. Iron Man is pretty good at spam damage, but we have to make sure that we're getting value out of that. So we want to be able to consistently hit targets that we actually have a chance at hitting. And one of the ways to do that is if I'm shooting like this at Wolverine and I whiff, it's going to go straight past him and do nothing, right?
5, 4,
So I'm going to actually just miss if I'm aiming right at him.
1.
Iron Man can't headshot. There's no, see, I'm missing. So there's no reason to shoot directly at him. Instead, you want to kind of aim at their feet a little bit. If you can hit them in the waist or the feet, that's going to be better, because even if you miss, like, you're still going to be doing damage to them, right? Unlike me, I am not an Iron Man player. Now, the funny thing is, this gets easier the higher you get, because the distance I can be off here, like, is not very much, and it makes a drastic difference. This is just like, you know, less than a millimeter of my mouse movement here. But if I come up here, I have so much more room that I can aim where I want that splash to be. it's going to be much more easy for me to hit Wolverine. Now, I don't play Iron Man, so I don't actually know his projectile speed very well. But you see, even though I'm not hitting him, because I don't know that speed, I'm still doing a chunk of damage to him. Whereas if I was aiming even here at his body, I'm going to start to miss more often. So for projectile characters like Iron Man, being just a little above or even low-key, because they can't headshot, so there's no point in making your shot harder, right? So I just want to aim at their feet, and if I miss, that's fine, because I'm still going to be doing damage. And then the more you practice this, the more you get used to like the speed of your projectiles, the more that you'll be able to predict your opponent. Now in controller, this is especially important. It's also a technique on PC, but there's different kinds of aiming.
4, 3,
One of the ones that we're going to go here is called strafe aiming, and this is to make your job on your target easier. And to practice this one, you just try to match the direction that your target's going. The reason this is important on controller is because you don't have the very fine like mouse movement, right? But what you can do is make your shots easier, because like look, this is no aim. Like I'm not even moving my crosshair, and I'm beaming this guy, right? So that's very important on controllers. From my limited knowledge on controller mechanics, is just find this guy and mirror. This is called mirror strafing, and you do this against somebody that you generally have an advantage for as far as either DPS or positionally, because it just makes you look at how easy my shots are. Right? What you don't want to do is this. Until you, well, this is something you can do, but until you get significantly better, like this is just goofing up your own aim. Look at it. I'm just making it so much harder for myself. So for Iron Man, try working on those, and even in the spawn room, you can practice just your mouse or your controller control. Like if you're in the spawn room waiting, why not use that time to get better instead of just dorking around, right? Why don't I pick a spot on the wall that I can see, and I can just practice my strafe aiming here, right? Keeping it in the same spot, and that gets your coordination between aiming and moving down. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about is even flying characters need to use cover, and a lot of times you'll see players just doing this in the skybox. There's literally nothing for you to hide behind. When people learn to hit shots, or even if they get lucky, they're just going to wear you down. So even flying characters, the advantage for them is if I'm a ground character, I can only do this, right? But if I'm a flying character, I can do this, right? I can shoot these guys. I can change it up here. I can change it over here, you know? I can come back over here and do the same, you know? I can use this for cover. If I'm over here, I can use like up here for cover, right? I can protect my own life in all of these places where if you're on the ground, or if you're a ground-based character with limited mobility, you don't have all of those options, right? Anything can be cover as long as you can get it between you and the enemy, right? Look at this, right? So this would be very frustrating to shoot at for someone, because if they can't get up to you or they can't shoot you, they can't hit you. So when you're firing or when you're reloading, then you can also be safe, and you don't need to just take free damage that you're not returning to them, right?
double kill.
The same goes for your E skill. This is something that Magic players know firmly. There's a wind up to it before you can cast it again. And there's an animation lock. So your animation lock, by wind up I meant animation lock. So you're pretty helpless while you're within your animation lock, and this is this is a very, very strong ability. While you're animation locked, you do not want to be like up here, not putting pressure on people. You can dip behind some kind of cover, and then you can come out and you can do an absolute boatload of damage doing what we went over in the aim section, right? The laser absolutely demolishes tanks in this form. It actually demolishes anyone. The laser on Iron Man is so strong, it's actually hard to like describe like how much damage this does. But remember, you can't booster when you're doing this, right? So you don't get the mobility advantage, and that goes for the lockout as well when you're transforming, right? So if you're not in cover here, if you're not ready for this to turn off, you're going to get stuck, and you're going to be very unhappy because somebody is going to be shooting you, or You were relying on getting to the cover, but you can't do it now because of your animation lock. Like, okay, now I'm being jumped by an Angela. Oh, you know, oh no, too late, right? So you need to be in a good spot to do that. So cover and mechanics, I would say, are going to be the things for you to work on first. And then after that, it's going to be target priority. An average tendency of people is no matter what, they're trying to shoot the tanks. Well, your damage, although high, support players erase most of it, right? It takes significantly long time if someone even has a tank, especially if they have one healer on them. It would be actually very difficult for you to out DPS a healer with a tank that's using their cooldowns, right? So the goal there then is to get the healer, right? So the healers don't want to take damage. They don't want to be pressured out because then they have to freak out. They have to make a choice. Do I get safe now and risk exploding, or do I heal my tank? And then he's actually going to die because he's not getting the support. So the good thing is, if you get the healer, now you can kill the tank, right? Because they're not going to be getting the healing that they need to sustain their life. Iron Man is very good at this, and this is one of the advantages of flying characters, is because if this is a Doctor Strange shield that's in my way, I can just go over it and shoot the backline, right? I can have the mobility to get around to the side of that shield, and I can shoot the backline, right? I can shoot into the group, like behind it, and get huge splash damage off, right? And really stress out those healers, and even better if I can clip them. I can keep cover between my target, the threats that are against me, like say there's a Hela. I can put this between her, right? So cover and target priority are very important. And generally, you need to deal with the threat to yourself first, whether it's by relocating or by fighting back, and then your priority is often going to be supports. Iron Man can one-shot Cloak and Dagger out of their ult. If you wait for Jeff to finish eating, you can one-shot Jeff as he comes out and save your team if he got a big eat. You can one-shot Luna if somebody strips her shields. Luna gets overhealth on shields, so if she loses her overhealth on shields, you can get her. Last couple notes on Iron Man is when you're flying fast, you make a heck of a lot of noise, you and Angela both. So be aware that if you do want to get a cheeky like flank, stand close to cover, so if you whiff, that they're not going to just turn on you. But don't use your boosters. Sneak up behind them to get it. And I hope that's a good place to get you started. Don't overdo the aim training. Just a few minutes is fine, but do it consistently. Consistency over a medium amount of time is going to be much better than high intensity over a short amount of time. And unless like you're a super grindy person, it's not as fun. You can also be practicing aim while you're shooting at players playing the game. But yeah, work on cover, work on those mechanics, and then add the target priority, and you should be golden.